If you're looking to do the damage ground-based arc enemies, but you don't have blueprints for Wolfpack, Trailblazers, or even the Deadline, there are not a ton of options for stacking up a ton of score on the maps. You could farm big game targets using some of the explosives you can buy from Apollo once per day, but ultimately you will be limited based on the amount of damage that you can do without having those blueprints that you can use to stack up a ton of explosives that will take these enemies down quickly. A good substitution and a bit of an off-meta pick for this week is doing the Stella Montis rotation and doing Shredders. Shredders give a decent amount of points for each elimination, and while it's not as much as it would be if it was the Shredder elimination week, it can add up quickly over the course of a full game. Shredders are relatively easy to deal with as long as you have a hole cracker, and everybody has the opportunity to buy one from Tian once per day, or you can get the blueprint from her if you complete a big portion of her quest line. This makes this strategy available to everybody, and it's super easy to do to get a decent amount of points overall for this challenge. For your setup, I do recommend bringing at least 3 Trailblazers that you can buy from Apollo, as you want to try and get the Bastion eliminated at the beginning of the round. This will help jumpstart your score for the rest of the match, but you only need 1 stack of them to get the job done. Bring a versatile weapon that you're comfortable with, dealing with the pops, fireballs, and ticks that you'll find throughout this rotation. And then with your hole cracker, make sure you have at least 6 stacks of 24 rounds of ammunition. Beyond that, you can pack an extra shield if you want, extra healing if you need, and I recommend stuffing the rest of your bag space with adrenaline shots. Make sure you use a light shield, which will improve your foot speed overall and can allow you to make more rotations throughout the match. Once you spawn in, the first thing you want to do is head straight for the loading bay. Bastion only spawns 1 time per match as far as I can tell, so getting the elimination early is super important. Once you find Bastion, you want to aggro it to you, and then you can do one of 2 things. You can use some of your hole cracker to deal some early damage to take out one of its legs, or if you just throw your Trailblazers perfectly onto Bastion, it will eliminate it completely with only 3 Trailblazers. Just make sure that when you throw the Trailblazers, you get majority of the gas onto Bastion so that it does the most amount of damage for each Trailblazer you throw. Once Bastion is eliminated, you want to head into the robotic sandbox, which you can get to from the loading bay really easily. In each of the sandboxes, you will find a variety of pops and fireballs along with the Shredders. You should definitely focus on eliminating the Shredders and the pops and fireballs only if you need to. The amount of points that you get for pops and fireballs is pretty small, but over the course of the full game and the total amount of pops and fireballs you can eliminate, it can add up. So definitely make sure you take those out as you go. Once you've eliminated the Shredders in both the robotic sandboxes, you want to head up to the control room through the jump up that is by the seed vault entrance. There is 1 Shredder that roams up there that you can take out really quick. From there, you want to drop back down and rotate into the seed vault hallway. There will be a Shredder that patrols this area later in the game, but it won't be present early on. From the seed vault hallway, you want to rotate into the cultural archives. There are a lot of ticks in this area, so be careful, and there's a bunch of pops and fireballs that will poke out from every direction, so keep your eyes peeled as you work through the space. Always keep an eye on your ammo and your weapons and make sure that they're fully loaded as you enter into that room. The archives are one of the few places that I'll recommend going slow and steady. Like I said, there are a ton of ticks in this area and some surprise pops and fireballs that like to come together to make getting through the space a little challenging. If you go too quick and you leave some roaming ticks around behind you, they can jump onto you at any second and cause you to get stuck and paralyzed while a Shredder is closing in on you. This can make it incredibly dangerous if you don't clean up those small enemies, so take your time here and make sure you eliminate everything that moves to ensure you can get through the space safely. There is no value in trying to shave off 10 to 15 seconds running through it quick if it means that you're going to get yourself hurt or even knocked down. You want to rotate through the entire archives and take the zipline that leads up to Business Center. Business Center can have a swarm of ticks, fireballs, and pops, so be careful once you head into that room, and there can be 1 Shredder that roams in that lobby or auditorium area. From there, you can rotate into the atrium, and then from the atrium into the lobby. Both the atrium and the lobby can have a couple of Shredders and a bunch of different random enemies that you'll need to deal with as well. The lobby at the end of the match can be a bit of a nightmare. You will get every type of enemy spawned, and it's very easy to go down if you're not cautious. The good news is most of the enemies are spread out, so you can play it slow and let them kind of peel their way over to you. Look out for wasps and hornets, which you might not have seen earlier in the match, and the pops and fireballs like to hide in the shadows. Once you're distracted by a pop or a fireball, a shredder tends to find his way to you, so make sure you're paying attention to all angles as you work through this space. Make sure you take everything out and then move into the central corridor. The central corridor can take you down all the way to medical, and in medical you can get up to 4 total shredders overall. There is 1 shredder that is in the central corridor outside of the medical bay, and then there can be up to 3 inside of it. Just be careful, as the later you get into the game, the more spawns are in that room, and the sentry turrets can be super sneakily placed and potentially ruin your run. If you don't know the medical space, it can be a bit of a rat's nest, so be careful. It's very easy to get turned around and caught out by any of the enemies that roam in this area. The sentry turrets can do tons of damage if you don't take them out quickly, and I recommend using your hole cracker to do that. Make sure you check the walls behind you, as one was hidden behind me and it almost took me out in this run. Similar to the cultural archives, you want to take your time in this space and play it slow and steady. Trying to go too quick, you can find yourself in a lot of trouble really fast because of how many enemies will swarm to you all at once. The layout is also not super fluid, so if you're not comfortable with the space in a day raid, just try not to get yourself caught out too much during a night raid, because the reduced visibility in it makes it much more harder to remember where you need to move to in order to be safe from a shredder blast. Once you're done in medical, you can head back into the central corridor to head back down to the robotic sandbox, or you can just go out to the loading bay, take the large zip line in the middle of loading bay, and then head into the robotic sandbox. You don't need a snap hook or a zip line to do it, but it does make it a little bit quicker so you can avoid taking the stairs. Once you're back in robotic sandbox, you can pivot out to metro if nobody's using the extraction, and there's a shredder that hangs out in that area as well. Take out that shredder and then head back through the robotic sandbox, and I recommend keeping a weapon out as you rotate through the robotic sandbox hallways, as there's always a couple of pops that hang out and like to catch you off guard. Once you're back into the second robotic sandbox, you are back at the start of the rotation, and from here you just simply rinse and repeat that process throughout the rest of the match. While the potential overall score for this route isn't the highest overall, it does allow you the freedom of being able to farm these enemies while nobody else is. Being that this is an off-meta strat and is not a key area for a lot of people to be, it means you have a higher chance of getting most of the shredders to yourself and stacking up your score without being contested by other players. This makes it a uniquely special strategy, allowing you a lot more potential in just doing a single run and being able to stack your trial score up and then move on to whatever else you want to go do. Beyond that, keep an eye out for where the extraction is, and as time winds down, make sure you start moving towards it. Once you farmed up enough shredders and you're happy with your score, head back to Speranza, collect your loot if you haven't already, and watch your score fly up the leaderboard. That's going to be it for me today, y'all. Thanks for watching.